Thank you so much for joining me in another video. So last week we discussed the recent murmurings about the status of the Row Margaux, especially this article that came out from Purse Blog going over it being discontinued, and I discussed in that video how the sources being mentioned were either resellers or influencers that were working with organizations that sold pre-loved bags, and how opportune it would be for news like this to come out and whether or not this was the case. Well, I feel like we have an unofficial word on the situation, and I posted about this on my Instagram stories, but Ashley Olsen a few days ago, she stepped out wearing the Row Margaux. Of course, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, they aren't going to step out in person and announce that they're continuing the Margaux, but I feel like this was them saying, no, this bag, it's here to stay, it's not going anywhere. But I do think what was initially reported, there are some truths about the Row Margaux maybe not being as available as it used to be. In addition, I also saw this post from @immaculate.style. I will link his Instagram down below, and he discussed how this bag, it's here to stay. What is in fact going to happen is it's going to be more exclusive. It's going to require an established relationship with the Row. And of course, this is a strategy that many luxury brands use. Of course, I always think of Hermes. They apply this strategy with their Birkins, their Kellys, most recently the Louis Vuitton, the P9 Speedy. It's a bag that you, from what I understand, you have to get on a wait list. It's no guarantee you will necessarily get it, but of course your relationship with the store is going to factor in. And I think this is a strategy that more and more brands are going to implement to keep their products more exclusive. Immaculate.style also noted how, according to retail journalist Sarah Shapiro for Puck News, she had stated that the Margaux, quote, isn't disappearing, but will only be available to be purchased directly from the Row from now on. So this is something that I think we've already, in the community of people that have been following the Row, have already noticed. The Row has pulled the Margaux from their third-party retailers. Previously, it was actually very widely available on outlets like Net-a-Porter and My Theresa, but now you have to go directly through the Row. I think this is part of their long-term strategy to keep building up the brand. And of course, there was the investment that the Row received from the owners of Chanel, L'Oreal, Moda Operandi, and Net-a-Porter, and they have invested into the brand. And from what I gather, the Row has ambitions to build up their retail presence. And of course, they're going to need more capital to do so. In order to do this, they want to get people into the store. And with a strategy like this, more customers are more likely to go into their stores versus having the Row rely on third-party retailers to get their products. Now, the Row is still going to be available on stores like My Theresa, Net-a-Porter, I'm sure. There will be certain products that I think will be limited to the Row. And you already see that on the Row's website, they'll state in-store available only. It's usually under select ready-to-wear items or exotics. We'll see that. The Row already is, I think, trying to usher more people into their stores. And another point that we talked about recently was how the Row, they had launched a new style, similar but different. It's like a sibling or cousin to the Margaux, and I'm talking about the Marlowe. It kind of reminds me how there was the Celine luggage and then there was the Phantom. And that's the comparison that comes to mind here. Of course, the Phantom, it not only was larger, but it had those exaggerated wings. The Marlowe kind of reminds me of the Phantom in that the wings extend out. And this is a bag that I noticed was recently available on My Theresa. Of course, it sold out right away. But I know that while some people prefer the Margaux, I totally get the appeal of the Marlowe with the wings out. It just offers a little bit more space. But I thought it was interesting that this bag was available on an outlet like My Theresa, and just doing a basic Google search, it was available at Lane Crawford, which is a luxury retailer in Hong Kong. So the Row is still available at these kinds of retailers, but I wonder if over time this is going to continue, if we see less and less of this, of their presence at these kinds of retailers. I will say though, personally, I've always liked that the Row was still available, maybe not their whole collection, but it was still available at select retailers, like being a Canadian, and being able to go into a Holt Renfrew and being able to try on their pieces, touch and feel the leather. In absence of a physical The Row location in Toronto, I do think that has like helped, because unlike, let's say, like Louis Vuitton or Hermes, those brands just have like way more stores, but I wonder if that will change. In addition, of course, resellers have been buying up these bags, and of course being able to profit off of the demand of the style. These bags, they do go over retail and depending on the style, but this way they have greater control of their inventory. But I doubt this will like entirely stop resellers. Of course, there are resellers and people that buy up Hermes bags, right? So I don't think there is really a way to kind of stop this. They'll still be able to get their hands on these products in store. Of course, people that are personal shoppers will still be able to go into like the Row locations. And I expressed in my initial video, for instance, as a Canadian, we don't get a lot of what the US gets. So a lot of international shoppers actually use third-party methods to get a lot of these handbags. Now, what I do wonder about this style is if the Margaux, if this bag is going to be available on the website. Of course, it still is there, but it's listed as sold out. Just my experience from covering the Row, when they typically have new launches, I've noticed, not always, but I have noticed in the past, sometimes a few Margaux will be available for purchase, and of course they'll sell out super quickly. I wonder if their online availability would change. I feel next drop, I'm gonna keep more of an eye on this and see what happens there, but regardless, this is a strategy I think the Row is using so that customers will visit their stores or just go directly to the Row's website, if directly through the Row. As they expand, I think they want to limit who gets these bags versus resellers. And while I hear people express their dislike of resellers, I actually really get it. I get it 100% as a Canadian. If I think about someone like Gab Waller, she does like luxury personal shopping, sourcing of luxury goods. I totally see the value in resellers, but I also can see if you're like a customer and you want to buy the Row and it's never available, how frustrating that could be. Hopefully this is going to encourage sales associates to offer the bags to loyal customers. Even I get messages where people ask me like, what is the best way to get the Margaux? And so far my answer has been, at least this is how I did it, just get on their email list when they have a drop, be as quick as possible. I don't know if this is still going to be the case. I want to see what happens next drop, but I think if you are local to the Row, go in person. But then of course not everyone is able to go in store. And again, I feel this as a Canadian. I do hope that they at least offer like a small batch next drop online, but who knows if this is going to change. But I also understand why the Row is choosing to do this. They want to be able to offer these bags to their loyal customers. As I said in my last video though, I think the Row has so much more to offer than just the Margaux. Their bags, their leather goods, their ready to wear. If you just like that minimal aesthetic, the Row over the years I really think has done this the best. If you're somebody that likes this aesthetic, you're gonna want more than just the Margaux. So yeah, anyways guys, that's my video for today. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.